Nothing is worse for a retailer than being unable to make sales because of an electronic malfunction. Stores not only lose that day's sale, they could also lose valued customers should they decide to take their business elsewhere. Hello, everybody. Thanks for attending today. I appreciate you guys. I am going to be going over the webinar Downtime When Failure is Not an Option today, and hopefully we're going to squelch some of those fears about what happens when I lose power, or I lose the credit card machine, or I lose some other internet or something like that. We're going to go over all the things that you should be doing to prepare for possible downtime, and that's what we're going to be covering today. So I will be recording this. It will be on the portal.paladinpos.com/webinars website probably in the next 24 hours. And if you have any questions, feel free to use the question box at the bottom, and I can answer those at the end. Very good. So what we're going to learn here is downtime. It's not if, but when. Also, what are some of the possible losses and outages that you can have in your store that's going to inconvenience you and your customers? What happens if you lose your data? What about payment processing? Some of the preventative measures that you can take in order to prevent this from happening. And then put a downtime backup plan in place. You know, what happens? What do you do when your power's out? What do you do when you have an internet failure? And then how to actually continue selling during the downtime. It's not a good thing when you can't sell, and you've got to have all the tools in order to continue selling, even if you have no power, no internet, no credit card, and the like. And then some of the things that we can provide you from a managed network perspective. And then some articles through our retail science where you can learn more information and continue to read and become well versed on this topic. So downtime, it's not if, but when. So the U.S. Department of Energy estimates that power outages cost businesses about $150 billion each year. 90% of businesses experience a downtime. 35% of unexpected downtime is caused by a simple power outage. And then retail stores are among the most affected businesses by power outages because sales transactions stop. You know, when your point of sale system isn't working, it doesn't have power, you can't take credit cards. These are all reasons why, it's important to have a backup plan in place. Possible losses and outages. You can lose power. You probably already have in your store. You know, most people do experience power outages. It could be due to something external to the store, could be internal to the store. Also internet, it's not a perfect connection all the time. Internet service providers have problems. You might have problems with cabling or anything that could cause a power outage and or internet outage. Might be things like a flood or a hurricane or any catastrophes like that. Also phone, credit card processing, data. These are all things that are going to affect your business. Computer hardware, it goes down. It's, every piece of hardware out there has a half-life. It will eventually fail at one time or another. You need to be prepared. And then any internal or external communications like connections with your supplier. How are you going to order if you can't send your order in electronically? How are you going to receive your invoices if you can't receive it electronically? Well, you've got to have a backup plan in place to be able to accommodate this so that business continues flowing. So loss of data, it's pretty amazing. A lot of people don't think about this until it happens to them. Think about it. You need to have a plan in place. You need to have the proper tools in place to avoid this because it's not good. I mean, data recovery statistics aren't the best when you get hit with ransomware. Financial loss is going to happen. The ransom demands can be very costly, and if the businesses don't have the money, they could lose everything. 43% of companies go out of business after a major data loss, and another 51 will fail within 2 years. Almost 70% of businesses close within a year of a large data loss, and 39% of small businesses don't have an incident response plan in place. You need to be protected. There are a number of things that you can do. The first and foremost is firewalls making sure that you have a good internet security, and yeah, so you got to do it. We've seen a few people get hit with ransomware. It's not that common in retail, but it at least in the hardware stores that are our customers, but it has happened in the past, and you've got to do things to avoid that because it's a major pain. So 8% of recovered, 8% of customers recovered all their data after paying the ransom. Just 8%. Another 29% recovered no more than half of their data after paying the ransom, and 65% is the average amount of data recovered after paying a ransom. So you need to be in a position where you don't have to pay the ransom. Let them take your system. Why? Because you have a backup. You've got a good separate network in place, a domain that is going to be protected at all times, or you have a nice backup on a different system that isn't going to be infected with this virus. It's very important. Payment processing. Well, 9 in 10 US consumers use electronic payment when purchasing goods, right? So credit cards, debit cards, digital wallets. It is important to protect your network because most of these things run over the network. They're no longer just connected to a telephone. They are connected to the network, to the internet. And if the internet goes down, you're down. So it is imperative that you have a backup credit card processing options in place. We can talk about those, and we will address that in the coming slides here. So what are some of the preventative measures that you can take? Well, keep up with all regulatory compliances. Make sure you're PCI compliant. You got the proper pricing and labeling. Your operating systems are up to date. Your tax tables are up to date. Your building codes, fire extinguisher inspections, posted emergency procedures. These are just some of the areas that you want to maintain regulatory compliance. Implement a semi-annual hardware maintenance and replacement program. Why? Because as I mentioned before, all hardware has a half-life and it will fail eventually. So as your system ages, maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, start a plan to about every 6 months, every year, swap out a computer with a new computer. That way it won't hit you all at once. You don't want to be 10 years into hardware and all of a sudden you start having problems. You got to replace everything at once. That's a huge burden. That's a very costly, and from a cash flow perspective, not a smart way to do it. Do it ongoing, every 6 months, 3, 6, 12, whatever works best for you. And then conduct backup equipment inspections. So if you have UPS battery backups, how do you know they still work? If you installed them 3 or 4 years ago, I would test them. Odds are, some of those will fail. And it's not a good thing to discover that once you are in that situation. Make sure that your modems, your routers, your generators, everything are tested and checked out. Store backup data in a safe place. So you're doing backups, save it in the cloud, a safe, bring it home, put it on a flash drive. Make it to where it's redundant so you have multiple copies of your software and your database, because recalling that information is going to be really important. If you lost all your data or you lost all your electronics in the store, and either via flood or earthquake or mudslide or whatever catastrophe it might be, it's important to be able to recoup that data. Think about it just from an accounting perspective, not to mention accounts receivables. It would be a bad day if you went to your customer and said, do you remember how much you owe us? Can you please pay us? I mean, it's not a good thing. Document and train your employees on proper backup and downtime procedures. Run some drills. Make sure that they understand and know how important it is to be able to reduce the chaos at time of downtime. Other preventative measures. So to prevent power loss, go with uninterruptible power supplies. Auto failover generator. That can run a lot of your store operations. Make sure you have emergency lining. These are just typical safety factors that you need to have in place. And most of you are hardware stores, so I would imagine you've got plenty of generators around. Make sure that you have some set up and ready to go. You can just flip a switch or set it up to auto failover. To prevent internet loss, you don't invest in a router that provides auto failover. So if you don't want to lose internet, And why do you not want to lose internet? Well, because that's what runs credit cards, right? So even if you have power and you don't have internet, you're not going to be able to process credit cards if you don't have an internet connection. However, if you have an auto failover router that automatically fails over to mobile, as long as you have a mobile connection and you subscribe to a SIMS card in that router, you're not going to notice anything. The internet will just keep running. Highly, highly recommend it. Credit card processing, it requires an auto failover, to roll into the cellular connection. So it continues processing credit cards. Employee standby credit card solution. It costs nothing to go out and order one of those squares. I mean, in a pinch, it could work really well. And you might also use it when you go to the flea market or when you go to a trade show and you want to sell stuff. You might want to be able to take credit cards. It's a great option. And then accommodate the optional Wi-Fi payment methods. Sometimes if you don't have a way to take payment, you'll want the customer to pay. There's a couple of different things you can do. One, give them a temporary charge account. Yeah, do that. Let them walk out of the store with their $20 product and they'll pay you next time they come in the store. You just make sure you capture their information. You give them a credit limit equal to what they're charging on that particular day, and no more. And if they don't pay in the next month, a bill will be presented to them. And then also, have a Venmo account and a PayPal account. So most people have a Venmo or a PayPal account, one or both, and they can easily pay you via that method. Preventive measures continued. So we have equipment failure. Make sure you have an uninterruptible power supply on each PC. Test it, make sure they run. Have a backup point of sale terminal with all the required peripherals in a safe location and protected environment. So if everything's on a countertop that is, waist high, maybe put this one up a little higher in case of a flood, or put it into a vault if you happen to have a vault. A lot of the stores that are hardware stores today used to be banks. Use that nice sturdy framework to keep an extra terminal around and all the peripherals, so that if all your equipment got trashed, you just go in the back, you grab that unit, and now you're taking transactions again. Train your staff. Make sure they for preventative data loss, make sure they're not opening applications. It's okay, I guess, to have email, but if there's an attachment on there, a lot of times those are bad things. When they click on those, if the virus detection doesn't catch it, it can go ahead and instill some sort of a ransomware on your system or malware that's just going to cause havoc for you. And it's really easy to employ that. Also, make sure that you have a good network management company. Paladin provides that service. It's for better performance, security, reliability, and more stable. And then DataWise is another service that Paladin provides, and that does incremental backups about every hour. So if you have any problems and you lose all your data, one call, you got it. You can just load it on a PC that's up and running at your store, and within minutes, we can have your data restored. Continue here. When your power is out, it's important to be prepared. We just talked about that, what you need to do to be prepared. A backup generator, as I mentioned, can help power the lights, power the registers, and it really is ideal. Without backup power, you need fully charged flashlights, battery-powered calculators, stock transaction receipts for cash and credit card sales. Current tax tables are really important, and then having a key for that register so that you can just use the key to open the register in case there's problems with power. If there's no power to a cash drawer, you need to have that key. We're going to talk about more of the things that you need when you go down, but right now let's focus on the internet failover option. So your firewall, and we provide a Meraki firewall that has an option in it that will automatically fail over to mobile connection. So if you have a good mobile connection, if your cell phone works in your store, it'll be great, because you can put a chip in this thing, and when your internet fails, it automatically rolls over to the cellular. Really simple. Needs no assembly. It's always ready to go, and you can speak to us about getting you set up with that. You can also go out and buy one. I mean, they're available on other routers. You can have this service. So really important to do. All right, so here's the crux of this thing. How do you continue selling during downtime? That's the important thing. Last thing you want to do is turn a customer away. Say, oh, you know what, our system's down. Hey, come back later. No, don't do that. Definitely take their sale, no matter what. And if you have a calculator, sales tax rate sheet, sales order pads with NCR copies so that you can have a copy of everything that you sell, some reliable pens, a mobile credit card reader, you're set and ready to go. You have all the tools that you need. Some of the optional things are have an electronic price list. Wouldn't it be nice if you can look up prices? Retain a recent house account summary report. So if somebody has a question about what they owe, you can talk to them about it, even when your system is not accessible. And then if possible, recruit additional staff to control the chaos, to reduce theft. I know it's oftentimes hard, but if you have a cell phone, they have a cell phone, give them a call and say, hey, look, can you get down here and help us out? Because you're going to need the help. Now, the other option is put a close sign on your door. Is that a good option? I think not. I think the better way to do it is to offer them the ability to buy whatever they want, and you can either, again, put it on account, and you can even take that information, account information, and put it on the pad. Write down their address and everything, and say, look, I'm going to extend you this. It's $30 for these products that you're buying. We'll just extend credit to you. Next time I see you, or at the end of the month, we'll shoot you a bill. Yeah. So those are the things you need to continue selling. If you don't have any of these things today, please, it's really simple. You can go on to, get a sales order form. I'm sure your supplier might have them. I know Amazon might have them. They're at Staples. Just go and get something that under every single counter, if you lose all of your electronic resources, just bring it up, and I would store it in a little plastic container underneath the counter and call it, emergency checkout supplies, and put it up there, and now you're ready to go. This would reduce a lot of your stress, because I know that when credit cards go down, when there's a huge power failure or something, it is rather nerve-wracking. Well, if you're prepared, it's going to reduce some of that stress. One last slide, just to put a little note in about the Paladin Managed Network. We can improve your performance, security, and reliability. We do offer network services. We offer backup. We offer the data-wise. We offer virus protection. There's just a number of managed services that we provide, and Managed Network is one of those. So you're probably paying somebody for network, and you're probably paying more than you need to. Paladin can manage this for you. It gives you security, speed, and reliability, so protect your network from intrusion, viruses, malware attacks, increase your operating speed by blocking some of the performance blocking applications. And then reliability, keep your business open when internet connections are down with the mobile failover option. We've had a couple of cases recently where people say, hey, you know what, you've got your virus detection on my software, and it's just slowing us way down. Our performance is very compromised. Well, that will happen, providing you have a second internet or virus detection software. So if you had virus detection software, we will always remove it before we put on ours, but you can't have two. If you have two, they're just going to be battling each other, and it's going to be, just not good. You're going to reduce your performance. So take note of that. With that, there's a lot of information that you can attain from the Retail Sciences Library. Just go to our website, click on websites at the top. Retail Science is one of those. We have all these articles are written by our writers here, and a lot of research has gone into these. Several of these have been syndicated to magazines and such. But a crisis management plan is crucial to small business for disaster recovery. It is time to upgrade your loss prevention technology, ransomware resolution, how one business recovered, so you can kind of learn from what happened to them. PC replacement plans are good business. Summer catastrophes show importance of disaster plans, and business network security can stop more than a virus. Yeah, it's really important. This will just give you more information. Now, put a plug in for our next webinar. Our next webinar is on October 10th. It's going to be about our Paladin managed emails. So not only do we manage backups and viruses and networks, as well as operating system updates for Microsoft, as well as we sell the Microsoft Office tools. We also provide email support, so we can set you up with Outlook email. And I know some of you have had some struggles with the Gmail email recently in the last several months. It's because they made it a requirement for two-factor authentication. And there are some other ISPs or internet service providers that are making it complicated and difficult to send out your statements. So we can handle all that if you let Paladin manage your emails. It's very reasonable, and it's just a small monthly fee. Again, that is on October 10th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Well, thank you all for attending. I hope this was good information for you. It is imperative that everybody be prepared, because your store will eventually lose power, lose internet, lose phone, and credit cards. And when you do, you want to be prepared. I'm looking to see if there's any questions. At this point, I don't. I do see one question in here. What is this? Our last POS company had the capability of storing a credit card purchases during downtime. And when the internet came back up, all those transactions would automatically upload to the processing company. Can Paladin offer that type of service? Yes, we can. Actually, we have been testing this with both companies. We do have the capability with at least one of the options right now. We're working on the other one. There are some risks involved. You need to set a limit of comfort to say, hey, I'll let $100 go through, because oftentimes criminals, they take advantage of this. They'll bring bad credit cards in, and you write all the information down, and then when you go to process it, there's no money there, or it's a fraudulent sale. In that case, that burden will be on you. So you need to set that limit as to what comfort level you have. You might set to $20, $100, $200, whatever it might be. And most of the people that that are using credit cards, you've seen them before, you recognize them, and it's not an issue. And most criminals, let's face it, there aren't a lot of fraudulent charges that happen to our retail operations, but it's been known to happen. So yes, if you want more information about the storing credit cards until the internet's back up or that credit card processor's back up, I know what we call it. I think we're looking for a better name, but right now the program's called Stored Forward. And yeah, so that's a great question. Very, very good question. I think that's something that's going to be more and more important as we continue on here. Yeah, paper tracking is not a good option, but it works. It's also there if you don't have a secondary processor. That is something like, again, I'm just using Square because I haven't done a whole lot of research on this. I just know that there are other options available on your cell phone that you can take. Also, when the power's down and you have internet access on a terminal that has a power supply on it, you can use both of our credit card processors have portal sites where you can go in and you can hand key in the number and process a payment right there in real time on their portal websites. So those are available for both BlockChip and WorldPay. And if you don't have that link or that information, that should be part of the information that you retain in that plastic bin under the counter. All right, I think that's it. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Hey, God bless. And until next time, be safe.